The coffee pot slipped from Maya Johnson's trembling fingers and shattered against the floor. But she didn't hear it break. All she heard was the rumble of her husband's Escalade circling the parking lot for the third time. She knew what that meant. She'd learned that pattern the hard way before the hospital visits, before the lies she told the nurses, before she stopped recognizing her own reflection. Her eyes found the corner booth. A Hells Angels biker sat there watching everything. Their eyes met, and in that moment, Maya made a choice that would change both their lives forever. Before we dive into this incredible true story, please hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Stay with us until the very end. This story takes turns you won't believe. And comment below with your city so we can see how far this message of hope and courage travels. Now let's begin. Maya's hands wouldn't stop shaking. She'd dropped 3 plates in the last hour. Earl, her boss, had given her that look from behind the counter. The one that said, "One more mistake and you're done." But how could she explain that the trembling wasn't about the job? How could she tell him that every time the diner door opened, her heart stopped? Because it might be Terry. It was 9:47 p.m. on a Thursday. Maya knew the exact time because she'd been watching the clock like it was counting down to her own execution. "Table 6 needs a refill," Earl called out. Table 6, the corner booth. The man who'd been sitting there for 2 hours nursing the same cup of coffee, saying nothing to anyone. Maya grabbed the pot and forced her legs to move. The man looked up as she approached. Late 40s, maybe early 50s. Weathered face with a scar cutting through his left eyebrow. The Hells Angels patch on his vest was impossible to miss. But it was his eyes that caught her, calm, steady, like he'd seen every ugly thing the world had to offer and decided to keep going anyway. "More coffee?" Maya asked. Her voice came out barely above a whisper. "Sure." His voice was rough but not unkind. As she poured, her hands shook so badly that coffee slopped over the rim onto the saucer. "I'm sorry," she said quickly, reaching for a napkin. "I'm so sorry. It's fine." He didn't move to wipe it up. Instead, he looked at her face. Really looked. And Maya knew what he was seeing. The makeup she'd caked on that morning to cover the bruise on her cheekbone. The way she flinched when the door opened. The fear she couldn't hide anymore. "You okay?" he asked quietly. 2 words. That's all it took for Maya's carefully constructed wall to crack. "I'm fine," she lied. The words were automatic after 6 years of practice. The man nodded slowly, but his eyes said he knew better. He reached into his vest pocket and pulled out a card, plain white, with just a phone number written in pen. "My name's Diesel," he said. "You ever need help, you call that number. Day or night." Maya stared at the card like it was a live grenade. Help. The word felt foreign, dangerous. Terry had spent 6 years teaching her that asking for help only made things worse, that she deserved what she got, that no one would believe a black woman over a respected firefighter anyway. "I don't," she started. That's when she saw it through the window. Terry's black Escalade, the one with the dent in the passenger door from when he'd punched it during their last fight. It was rolling slowly past the diner. Maya could see his face in the driver's window scanning the interior. Her entire body went rigid. "Hey!" Diesel said, his voice sharper now. "What is it?" Maya couldn't speak. She watched Terry's Escalade circle the parking lot once, twice. Then it parked in the shadows at the far end, facing the diner entrance. He was waiting. He was always waiting. "That truck," Diesel said. It wasn't a question. Maya's fingers closed around the card in her palm. She looked at Diesel, and for the first time in years, she told the truth. "My husband," she whispered. "He's going to hurt me when I get off work. He always does when he drinks, and he's been drinking since noon." Diesel's expression didn't change, but something shifted in his posture. He became very still, very focused. "How long?" he asked. 6 years. "Police?" Maya let out a sound that might have been a laugh if it wasn't so broken. "He works with them. Fire department volunteer. They think he's a hero. And I'm just the crazy wife who doesn't appreciate him." Diesel was quiet for a long moment. Then he stood up and Maya realized just how big he was. 6'4" at least, broad-shouldered, the kind of man who looked like he'd been built to take hits and keep standing. "What are you doing?" Maya asked, panic rising in her throat. "Finishing my coffee," Diesel said calmly, "and then I'm going to walk you to your car when your shift ends." "That a problem?" "Yes," Maya wanted to scream. "Yes, because Terry will kill you, and then he'll kill me for letting you try." But the words wouldn't come, because underneath the fear was something else, something she'd almost forgotten existed. Hope. "My shift ends in 10 minutes, she heard herself say. Diesel nodded and sat back down. He pulled out his phone and typed something quickly, then set it aside, waiting. The next 10 minutes felt like 10 hours. Maya moved through the motions of her closing duties, wiping down tables, refilling salt shakers, counting out her tips. But her awareness stayed locked on two things, Diesel in the corner booth and Terry's Escalade in the parking lot. At 10:00 p.m., exactly, Earl locked the front door and turned to Maya. "You need me to walk you out." Earl was 67 and barely 5'5". Maya loved him for asking, even though they both knew what Terry would do to him. "I'm okay," Maya said. "I've got a friend." Earl looked over at Diesel, raised his eyebrows, but said nothing. He'd been running this diner for 40 years. He knew when to ask questions and when to stay quiet. Diesel stood and walked to the door with Maya. Through the glass, she could see Terry's Escalade, engine running now, exhaust visible in the humid night air. "Stay behind me," Diesel said quietly. "Don't run, don't hurry, just walk normal to your car. Where is it?" "The blue Honda, 3 spots from his truck." "Perfect." Diesel pushed open the door, and they stepped out into the parking lot. They'd made it halfway to her car when Terry's door opened. "Maya." His voice cracked across the parking lot like a whip. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" Diesel kept walking. Maya stayed behind him, her heart hammering so hard she thought it might burst. Terry stumbled out of the Escalade, and even from 15 feet away, Maya could smell the whiskey. His face was red, his eyes wild. This was bad. This was the worst she'd seen him. "I asked you a question," Terry shouted. He started toward them, his gait uneven but purposeful. "Who the hell is this? Who is this guy?" "Keep walking," Diesel murmured to Maya. But Terry was faster than he looked when he was angry. He cut between them and the Honda blocking their path. Up close, Maya could see the rage on his face, the way his hands were clenched into fists. She knew those fists. She had scars from those fists. "You cheating on me," Terry snarled at Maya. "Huh. Is that what this is? I work my ass off while you're here whoring around with call move." It was the first word Diesel had spoken since they left the diner. His voice was flat, empty of emotion. Somehow that made it more frightening than if he'd been shouting. Terry looked at Diesel for the first time, really looked at him. Maya saw something flicker across her husband's face. Not fear exactly, but calculation. Terry was a bully, but he wasn't stupid. He knew how to read threats. "This doesn't concern you, biker," Terry said, but his voice had lost some of its edge. "It does now," Diesel said. "Maya, get in your car." Maya didn't move. She couldn't. 6 years of conditioning had taught her that defying Terry only made things worse. If she got in that car, Terry would follow her home. And when Diesel left, Terry would make her pay for this, for all of it. "I can't," she whispered. "Maya, get in the car now." Terry roared, taking a step toward her. Diesel moved. It happened so fast that Maya barely saw it. One moment, Terry was lunging forward. The next, he was on the ground, Diesel's boot pressing down on his chest, Diesel's knee beside his head. Terry gasped for air, his face going purple. "Listen very carefully," Diesel said, his voice still that same flat calm. "You're going to stay on this ground for exactly 60 seconds. Maya's going to get in her car and drive away. You're not going to follow her. You're not going to call her. You're not going to go to her house. You understand me?" Terry tried to swing at Diesel's leg. Diesel pressed down harder, and Terry made a choking sound. "I said, do you understand me?" "Get off me," Terry gasped. "Wrong answer." Diesel pressed down a fraction more, and Terry's face went from purple to almost black. His hands clawed at Diesel's boot. "Okay," Terry choked out. "Okay, I understand." Diesel held him there for another 3 seconds, long enough to make his point. Then he stepped back. Terry rolled onto his side, coughing and gasping. "Sarah," Diesel said, not taking his eyes off Terry. "Car, now." This time Maya moved. Her legs felt like rubber, but she got to the Honda, fumbled with her keys, and got the door open. The engine started on the second try. Diesel backed toward his motorcycle, a massive Harley parked near the diner entrance, keeping himself between Terry and Maya's car the entire time. "You're dead," Terry shouted from the ground, finally getting enough air back to be stupid again. "You hear me? You're dead. I'll have you arrested for assault. Earl's got 3 security cameras on this parking lot," Diesel said calmly, swinging his leg over the Harley. "All of them saw you come at me first. Self-defense is a beautiful thing." He started the engine with a roar that made Maya jump even inside her car. "Drive?" Diesel said, loud enough for Maya to hear through her closed window. "I'll follow you." Maya drove. She didn't know where she was going. Home was out of the question. Terry knew where she lived. Her mother was 3 states away and hadn't believed Maya the last time she'd tried to tell her the truth about Terry. She had no friends left. Terry had systematically cut her off from everyone over the years. In her rearview mirror, the headlight of Diesel's Harley followed at a safe distance. Maya found herself on Highway 61, heading north out of town. The clock on her dashboard read 10:17 p.m. 19 minutes since her shift ended. 19 minutes since her life had changed. Her phone rang. Terry's name flashed on the screen. Maya ignored it. It rang again, and again, and again. By the time she'd driven 5 miles, Terry had called 14 times. Then the text started. "You're making a mistake. Come home right now." "I'm sorry, baby. I was drinking. I didn't mean it." "If you don't come back, I swear to God, Maya, that biker is a dead man." "You're a dead woman." Maya's vision blurred with tears. She pulled off at a rest stop, killed the engine, and just sat there, shaking. The Harley pulled in beside her. Diesel got off and walked to her window. Maya rolled it down. "You okay?" he asked. "No," Maya said. It felt good to say it out loud. "No, I'm not okay. I don't know what to do. I can't go home. I can't go to a hotel because he'll find me. I can't—" "There's a shelter 2 towns over," Diesel said. "Agnes' house. Woman who runs it is named Sister Dorothy. I'll call ahead. Tell her you're coming." "How do you—" Maya started, then stopped. Of course he knew about a women's shelter. Looking at him now, at the scars on his knuckles and the weariness in his eyes, Maya realized Diesel had probably helped people like her before. "Why are you doing this?" she asked. "You don't even know me." Diesel was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke. "I was a medic. Army Rangers. 2 tours in Afghanistan. You know what I learned over there? The people who need help the most are usually the ones who can't ask for it. And the people who hurt others the most are usually the ones everyone thinks are heroes." He pulled out his phone and made a call. The conversation was brief, one-sided. "Sister Dorothy's expecting you," Diesel said when he hung up. "I'll follow you there. Make sure you get in safe." "And then what?" Maya asked. "He's going to come after you. You don't know Terry. He has friends. Connections." "Let him come," Diesel said simply. "I've dealt with worse than your husband." Maya wanted to believe him. God, she wanted to believe him so badly, but she'd lived with fear for so long that hope felt dangerous. "I need to ask you something," she said, "and I need the truth." Diesel nodded. "Why do you care? Really, what's in this for you?" Diesel looked at her for a long time. When he finally spoke, his voice was softer than she'd heard it. "My grandmother," he said. "She raised me after my mama died. Mama had a boyfriend like your husband. When I was 12, she finally got the courage to leave him. We moved 6 times in 2 years because he kept finding us." He paused. "One night, a truck driver at a diner saw her crying, saw the bruises. He drove us all the way to his sister's place in Alabama, helped us start over, never asked for anything, never wanted credit, just did it because it was right." "What happened?" Maya whispered. Diesel's jaw tightened. 2 years later, the boyfriend found us anyway. Shot my mama in her sleep. then himself. Maya felt her heart break. "I'm so sorry." "I'm not telling you this for sympathy," Diesel said. "I'm telling you because you need to understand something. Your husband, he's going to escalate. They always do. Leaving the fact that you're not under his control anymore, it's going to make him worse before it makes him better. And you need to be ready for that." "I can't." Maya started, fear creeping back into her voice. "Yes, you can," Diesel said firmly, "because you're not alone. And this time the ending is going to be different." "How do you know?" "Because I'm not going to let him kill you. Simple as that." The conviction in his voice was absolute. Maya felt it, believed it, and for the second time since meeting Diesel, she let herself hope. "Okay," she said. "Okay, what do I do?" "You follow me to St. Agnes, you get some sleep, and tomorrow we figure out the rest." Maya followed Diesel's taillights through the darkness, north on Highway 61, then east on Route 78. The roads got narrower, the trees thicker. At 11:15 p.m., they pulled into the parking lot of an old church that had been converted into a shelter. Lights glowed warm in the windows. A woman stood on the front steps, mid-60s, gray hair pulled back in a bun, wearing a cardigan despite the heat, Sister Dorothy. Diesel walked Maya to the door. "You'll be safe here," he said. "Dorothy runs a tight ship. Terry won't find you." "How can you be sure?" "Because this place doesn't exist on paper. No address listed, no government funding, no paper trail, just people helping people." Sister Dorothy came down the steps and put a gentle hand on Maya's arm. "Come inside, honey," she said. "You're safe now." Maya looked back at Diesel. "Will I see you again?" "I'll check on you tomorrow," Diesel said. "Make sure everything's okay. After that, we'll see." He turned to leave, then stopped. "Maya, you did the hardest part tonight. You asked for help. Everything else from here is just taking it one step at a time." Then he was gone, the Harley's engine fading into the night. Sister Dorothy led Maya inside. The shelter was warm and clean, nothing like what Maya had imagined. There were 6 other women there, ranging in age from early 20s to late 50s. They looked at Maya with understanding eyes, eyes that had seen their own versions of Terry. Dorothy showed Maya to a small room with a bed, a dresser, and a window that looked out over a garden. "Bathroom's down the hall," Dorothy said. "There's a lock on your door, but you're the only one with a key. We'll talk more in the morning about options, resources, legal stuff. For tonight, just rest." "Thank you," Maya whispered. Dorothy squeezed her hand. "Thank Diesel. He saved more women than he'll ever admit." After Dorothy left, Maya sat on the bed and looked at her phone. 43 missed calls, 67 texts, all from Terry. The messages had progressed from apologies to threats to begging and back to threats again. The latest one, sent 3 minutes ago, made Maya's blood run cold. "I know where you are. That biker made a big mistake. Tell him his brothers are going to hear about this. Tell him he's done." Maya stared at the message. Terry was bluffing. He had to be. He couldn't possibly know where she was. But doubt crept in anyway. Terry always found her. Always. She was about to call Diesel when her phone buzzed with a new message. But this one wasn't from Terry. It was from an unknown number. "This is Diesel. Got your number from Earl. New phone, so Terry can't trace it. You're safe. Sleep. I'll be there at 9 a.m. Maya read the message 3 times. Then she saved Diesel's number, turned off her phone, really off, not just silent, and plugged it into charge. She locked her door, crawled into bed, fully clothed, and waited for sleep that she was sure wouldn't come. But it did. For the first time in 6 years, Maya Johnson fell asleep without fear. Not because her problems were solved, they weren't. Not because Terry had suddenly become a different person, he hadn't. But because for the first time in a very long time, she wasn't alone. Outside in the darkness beyond the shelter's walls, Diesel sat on his Harley in the shadows. He'd wait there until dawn, like he always did on nights like this, just in case. His phone buzzed, text from his club brother, Snake. "Heard you put hands on a civilian tonight. That true?" Diesel typed back, "Civilian put hands on a woman. I corrected the situation. What's his name? Terrence Johnson. Why? There was a long pause before the response came. He's connected. Fire department volunteer, tight with cops, already making calls. Says you assaulted him unprovoked. Says you tried to abduct his wife. Diesel wasn't surprised. Men like Terry always had a story. Let him make his calls, Diesel typed. I've got security footage. This could get messy, brother. Club doesn't need heat. Then the club stays out of it. This is personal. Another long pause. Your funeral. Watch your back. Diesel pocketed his phone and looked up at the shelter. Maya's window was dark now. She was probably asleep. Good. She needed it. He thought about what Snake had said. Terry was making calls. That meant things would escalate. Men like Terry didn't just walk away. They doubled down. They made it everyone else's fault. They burned down the world before they admitted they were wrong. Diesel had seen it before. He'd lived through it before, and he knew how it ended. His phone buzzed again. This time it was Earl. Terry came back after you left, drunk, angry, said some things about Maya, about you, threatened to burn my diner down if I didn't tell him where she went. I played dumb, but he's not stupid. Be careful. Diesel smiled grimly. Terry was already making his moves. Good. Better to have the enemy coming at you from the front than sneaking up behind. He typed back, Thanks for the heads up. Keep those security tapes safe. Already copied to 3 different places. You need them, you let me know. Will do. Diesel settled back on his bike and watched the shelter. Dawn was still 6 hours away, but he'd wait. He'd always been good at waiting. The army had taught him patience. Afghanistan had taught him vigilance. And his grandmother, God rest her soul, had taught him that sometimes the most important battles weren't fought with guns or fists. Sometimes they were fought with simple presence, just showing up, just being there when no one else would. Around 3:00 a.m., a car pulled into the church parking lot. Diesel's hand went to the knife on his belt, but he didn't move. The car, an old Toyota, parked near the entrance, and a woman got out. Young, maybe mid-20s, carrying a small duffel bag. She looked around nervously, then hurried to the door. Sister Dorothy answered before the woman even knocked. They spoke briefly. Then Dorothy led her inside. Another one, Diesel thought. Another Maya. Another woman who'd finally found the courage to run. The shelter helped about 3 women a week, Dorothy had told him once. 3 women every week. 52 weeks a year. That was over 150 women annually. And this was just one shelter in one town. Diesel didn't want to think about how many Mayas were out there who never found a Dorothy, never found an Earl's Soul Kitchen, never found help. His phone buzzed. 3:17 a.m. Who the hell was texting at 3:17 a.m.? Unknown number. Diesel almost didn't open it. Could be spam. Could be Terry. Could be trouble. He opened it anyway. This is Maya. Can't sleep. Just wanted to say thank you. Really, thank you. You saved my life tonight. Diesel stared at the message for a long time. Then he typed back, You saved your own life. I just gave you a ride. Now go to sleep. Tomorrow's going to be a long day. Why? Because you're going to file for a restraining order, and when Terry violates it, and he will, we're going to make sure he faces actual consequences for once. You think it'll work? Diesel thought about lying, about giving her false hope. But Maya deserved the truth. Honestly, I don't know. System's broken. Favors guys like Terry. But we're going to try anyway, because doing something is better than doing nothing. What if he hurts you? He won't. How do you know? Because I've been hurt before, by people a lot scarier than Terry Johnson. I'm still here. There was a long pause. Then, were you really a medic? Yeah. Did you save a lot of people? Some. Did you lose any? Diesel closed his eyes. Afghanistan rushed back. The heat, the sand, the blood, the screaming. Specialist Williams, 19 years old, bleeding out from an IED blast, while Diesel did everything he knew how to do, and it still wasn't enough. Private Jackson taking a bullet meant for someone else. Lieutenant Morrison gone before the medevac even arrived. Yeah, he typed. I lost some. Does it get easier? The guilt. Diesel almost laughed. Maya had just escaped her abuser hours ago, and she was worried about his guilt. "No," he typed honestly. "But you learn to carry it better. Now go to sleep. That's an order." "You're not my boss. I'm a ranger. Everyone's a recruit until proven otherwise." This time Maya sent a smiley face emoji, and Diesel felt something strange in his chest. When was the last time he'd made someone smile? He pocketed his phone and went back to watching. The hours crawled by. At 5:30 a.m., Diesel saw the first hints of dawn breaking over the trees. His back ached from sitting so long. His eyes burned from lack of sleep, but he'd stayed alert, always alert. At 6:00 a.m., Sister Dorothy came out with a thermos of coffee. "You're still here," she said. It wasn't a question. "Promised I'd make sure she stayed safe." Dorothy poured coffee into the thermos lid and handed it to him. "You know you can't protect all of them, right?" she said gently. "There's too many. You'll burn yourself out." "I know. But you try anyway." "Yes, ma'am." Dorothy smiled. "Your grandmama raised you right, James Crawford." Diesel looked up sharply. He never used his real name. Everyone knew him as Diesel. Had for years. "How did you—" "I make it my business to know who's helping my girls," Dorothy said. "Former Army Ranger medic, 2 tours, honorable discharge, Hells Angels Memphis chapter for the last 8 years, 3 arrests for assault, all charges dropped, self-defense, no convictions, clean record otherwise." Diesel didn't know whether to be impressed or concerned. "You investigate everyone who helps out here, only the ones who come back," Dorothy said. "And you, James, you come back a lot." She was right. This was the 7th woman Diesel had helped bring to St. Agnes in the last 2 years. He didn't know why he kept doing it. It wasn't like it changed anything. Terry would be replaced by another Terry. Another Maya would end up at Earl's Diner, and the cycle would continue forever. But Dorothy was right about something else too. He kept trying anyway. "She's going to need more than a restraining order," Dorothy said, watching the sunrise. "Terry Johnson isn't the type to respect paper. You know that." "I know. So what's your plan?" "Don't have one yet. Figure it out as I go." Dorothy chuckled. "That's your problem, James. You're so busy reacting that you never get ahead of the situation. Men like Terry, they plan. They scheme. They manipulate. If you want to beat him, you need to think 3 moves ahead." Diesel sipped the coffee. It was good. Strong. Dorothy made coffee like she ran her shelter, no nonsense, exactly what you needed. "What do you suggest?" he asked. "Document everything. Every call, every text, every threat. Get witnesses. Earl saw what happened, that's good. Security footage, even better. But you need more. You need people who can't be bought or bullied. You need evidence that even Terry's cop friends can't ignore." "And where do I find that?" Dorothy smiled. "Already working on it. I have friends too, James. Friends who believe that women like Maya deserve justice. Give me a day. I'll have something for you." She turned to go back inside, then stopped. "One more thing. Maya asked about you this morning. Wanted to know if you were real or if she dreamed you." "What did you tell her?" "I told her you were as real as the rest of us broken people trying to do some good before we die. That satisfy your ego." Diesel almost smiled. Perfect. Dorothy left and Diesel finished his coffee. At 7:00 a.m. his phone buzzed. Text from Snake. "Need to talk. Club business. Can't avoid it anymore." Diesel sighed. He'd known this was coming. The club had rules. Rules about bringing heat. Rules about getting involved in civilian problems. Rules about drawing attention. "Where?" Diesel typed. "Clubhouse. Noon. I'll be there." Diesel looked back at the shelter. He'd promised Maya he'd check on her at 9:00 a.m. That gave him 2 hours. Then the meeting at noon. Then, who knew? At 8:45 a.m., Diesel walked into the shelter. Maya was in the common room sitting with 2 other women drinking coffee. She looked up when he entered, and her face transformed. Relief, gratitude, hope, all of it visible in her eyes. "You came," she said. "Said I would." The other women excused themselves, giving Maya and Diesel privacy. They sat at the small table by the window. "How'd you sleep?" Diesel asked. "Better than I have in years," Maya admitted. Is that weird? I mean, my whole life is falling apart. I'm hiding in a shelter. My husband wants to kill me and you and I slept like a baby. Not weird. You're safe here. Your brain knows it. First time in years it's been able to relax. Maya nodded. Then her expression changed, became more serious. Terry texted me last night, said he knows where I am, said you made a mistake helping me. He's bluffing. He doesn't know about this place. How can you be sure? Because Dorothy's good at keeping secrets, and because Terry would have already shown up if he really knew. Maya wanted to believe him. Diesel could see it, but 6 years of Terry had taught her not to trust in safety. What happens now? She asked. Now you file for a restraining order. Dorothy knows a lawyer, good one, does work pro bono for abuse cases. She'll walk you through it. And if Terry violates it, then he gets arrested. You really believe that the system will protect me? Diesel paused. Honesty was important. False hope was dangerous. I believe we have to try, he said finally. I believe that doing nothing guarantees he wins. Doing something, at least, gives you a chance. Maya absorbed this. Then she asked the question Diesel had been waiting for. Why are you doing this, really? And don't tell me it's just because you can. There's more to it than that. Diesel looked out the window. The morning sun was burning off the dew, turning the grass gold. My grandmother, he said quietly, told you about her, about my mama's boyfriend, but I didn't tell you the end of the story. Maya waited. We moved to Alabama, started over. Grandmama got a job. I went to school. For 2 years, life was good, real good. He paused. Then he found us. Don't know how, but he did. Showed up one night, said if he couldn't have her, nobody could. Diesel's hands clenched into fists on the table. I was 14. Tried to stop him. He put me through a window. When I came to, my mama was dead. He'd shot her then himself. Murder-suicide. Cops called it a tragedy, like it was fate, like there was nothing anyone could have done. Maya's hand covered his. Diesel hadn't realized he was shaking. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm not telling you this for sympathy, Diesel said. I'm telling you because you need to understand something. Your husband, he's going to escalate. They always do. The restraining order, the leaving, the fact that you're not under his control anymore, it's going to make him worse before it makes him better, and you need to be ready for that. I can't. Maya started, fear creeping back into her voice. Yes, you can, Diesel said firmly, because you're not 15 and unarmed. You're not alone, and this time the ending is going to be different. How do you know? Because I'm not going to let him kill you. Simple as that. The conviction in his voice was absolute. Maya felt it, believed it, and for the second time since meeting Diesel, she let herself hope. Okay, she said. Okay, what do I do first? But Maya and Diesel weren't the only ones making plans. At that exact moment across town, Terry Johnson sat in his living room with 3 of his buddies from the fire department, and what they were planning would change everything. Terry Johnson poured another shot of whiskey and slammed it back. His living room was thick with cigarette smoke and the kind of anger that made the air feel dangerous. 3 men sat with him, Marcus Webb Darnell Stone and Jamal Tucker, all volunteer firefighters, all loyal to Terry, all willing to do whatever needed to be done. So let me get this straight, Marcus said, leaning forward. Some biker put you on the ground in front of half the town and you're just going to let him walk. I didn't say that, Terry growled. His throat still hurt from where Diesel's boot had pressed down. Every time he swallowed, he remembered the humiliation, the fear, the way Maya had looked at him not with terror like she should have, but with something worse, defiance. Then what are we doing here? Jamal asked. He was the youngest of the group, 28, always eager to prove himself. You want us to pay this guy a visit? Terry smiled, but there was nothing warm in it. I want you to help me get my wife back. She's confused. That biker's got her thinking she can just leave me, that she has options. We need to remind her who she belongs to. Darnell, the oldest at 44, shifted uncomfortably. Terry, man, maybe you should just let her cool off. Give her some space. She'll come back on her own. She's not coming back, Terry snapped. Not unless we make her. That's how women like Maya work. You give them an inch, they take a mile. I've been too soft on her. That ends now." Marcus nodded slowly. "What about the biker? What about him?" "He's Hell's Angels, Terry. You can't just—" "I can do whatever I want," Terry interrupted. "You know why? Because I have friends. Real friends. Not some motorcycle club full of criminals. I've got the fire department. I've got connections with half the cops in this county. That biker touched me, assaulted me. That's a crime." "You went at him first," Darnell pointed out quietly. Terry's head whipped toward him. "Whose side are you on?" "Yours, man. Always yours. I'm just saying if this goes to court, people saw what happened. Earl's got cameras." "Earl's cameras show exactly what I tell them to show," Terry said coldly. "Earl knows better than to cross me. His diner's been having some code violations lately. Real shame if the fire marshal had to shut him down for safety concerns." The threat hung in the air. Darnell looked away first. "So what's the plan?" Jamal asked, excitement creeping into his voice. Terry pulled out his phone and showed them a photo. It was from Maya's old Facebook, an account she barely used anymore. The photo showed Maya at some charity event, smiling next to an older woman. "This woman runs a shelter," Terry said. "St. Agnes House. Off the books. No public address. But I did some digging. Called in a favor with Danny at the county assessor's office. Found the property records. Old church on Route 78. Converted about 10 years ago." Marcus whistled. "You think Maya's there?" "I know she's there. Where else would she go?" "No family nearby. No friends. I made sure of that. And that biker, he's got a history. Helped 4 other women get to shelters in the last 2 years. Same pattern every time. Always ends up at St. Agnes." "How do you know all this?" Darnell asked. Terry tapped his phone. "Because I'm not stupid. I've been tracking that biker since last night. Made some calls. Turns out James Crawford, that's his real name, has a thing for playing hero. Failed to save his own mama, so now he tries to save everyone else." The cruelty in Terry's voice made even Marcus uncomfortable. "So we go to the shelter," Jamal said. "Bring Maya home." "Not we. Me. This is between me and my wife. You 3, you're going to deal with the biker." "Deal with him how?" Marcus asked. Terry's smile widened. "Make it look like he's the bad guy. He's got a record. 3 assault arrests even if the charges got dropped. 1 more incident and the cops won't look the other way. They'll lock him up. And with him out of the picture, Maya will understand she has nowhere to run." "What kind of incident?" Jamal asked. "Leave that to me. I just need you 3 to be my witnesses. Can you do that?" Marcus and Jamal nodded immediately. Darnell hesitated, then nodded too. What else could he do? They were brothers. "You didn't abandon your brothers." Terry stood up, swaying slightly from the whiskey. "Good. We move tonight. After dark. By tomorrow morning, Maya will be back where she belongs. And that biker will be in a cell." But nothing was going back to normal. Not for Terry, not for Maya, and not for Diesel. Because while Terry was making his plans, other people were making theirs too. At the Hell's Angels clubhouse across town, Diesel sat in the meeting room facing 8 of his brothers. The president, a man called Hammer, sat at the head of the table. He was 56, built like his name suggested with gray streaking through his beard. "So," Hammer said, his voice calm but firm, "you want to explain what happened last night?" Diesel told them everything. The diner, Maya, Terry, the confrontation. He left nothing out. When he finished, the room was silent. Snake spoke first. "Brother, you know the rules. We don't get involved in domestic situations. Too messy. Too much heat." "I know the rules," Diesel said. "Then why'd you break them?" "Because she asked for help, and I could give it." "You could have called the cops," Snake pointed out. "Cops don't help women like Maya. You know that. I know that. System's broken." Hammer leaned forward. "That may be true, but it's not our job to fix the system. Our job is to protect this club. And what you did last night, you painted a target on us." "On me," Diesel corrected. "Not the club. I made it clear this was personal." "Doesn't matter," Snake said. "You wear our patch. When you go down, people see the patch first. Your name second." Diesel knew they were right. He'd known it last night when he stepped between Maya and Terry, but he'd done it anyway. And he'd do it again. So what do you want me to do? Diesel asked. Apologize. Tell Maya I made a mistake. Throw her back to her husband. We want you to be smart, Hammer said. Terry Johnson, he's not some random civilian. He's got connections. Fire department? Police? Probably city council too. You're going to war with someone who has resources. Then I guess I'm going to war. Snake slammed his hand on the table. Damn it, Diesel. This isn't about being noble. This is about survival. Your survival. The club's survival. I'm not asking the club to get involved, Diesel said, keeping his voice level. I'm handling this myself. You can't. I can, and I will. I've already got evidence. Security footage from Earl's diner showing Terry coming at me first. Multiple witnesses. Self-defense is clean. Terry can make all the noise he wants, but facts are facts. Hammer studied Diesel for a long moment. Then he sighed. You're not going to back down on this, are you? No, sir. Even if it costs you your patch. The room went dead silent. Taking a man's patch was serious. It meant exile from the only family most of them had. Diesel met Hammer's eyes. Even then. Hammer nodded slowly. Then here's what's going to happen. The club stays neutral. We don't help you, but we don't hinder you either. You're on your own. If this goes south, we don't know you. Understand? I understand. But, Hammer continued, and something shifted in his voice. If you need backup, and I mean real backup life or death backup, you call. Neutral doesn't mean we let our brothers die alone. Relief flooded through Diesel. It wasn't support, but it wasn't exile either. It was the best he could hope for. Thank you, Diesel said. Don't thank me yet, Hammer said. You're playing a dangerous game, brother. Men like Terry Johnson don't fight fair. He's going to hit you where it hurts. Be ready. Diesel stood to leave, but Snake stopped him. One more thing. Word on the street is Terry's got 3 of his fire department buddies helping him. Marcus Webb, Darnell Stone, Jamal Tucker. They're planning something tonight. Probably going after the shelter, or trying to set you up. Either way, it's going down tonight. How do you know? Snake smiled grimly. Because Darnell's girlfriend works at the bar I drink at. She was worried. Called me, asked if I knew what her boyfriend was getting into. I told her to tell Darnell to stay home, but he won't listen. They never do. Diesel processed this information. 3 more guys backing Terry. That changed the math. What are they planning? Don't know specifics, but it's something at the shelter. Going after Maya directly, or maybe trying to set you up. Either way, it's happening tonight. Diesel checked his watch. 12:47 p.m. If they were moving tonight, he had maybe 6 hours to prepare. Thanks for the heads up, Diesel said. Don't mention it, Snake said. Literally, don't mention it. I was never here. This conversation never happened. Diesel left the clubhouse and headed back to the shelter. On the way, he called Sister Dorothy. We've got a problem, he said when she answered. I know, already heard. How did you... I told you I have friends, Dorothy said. One of them is Darnell Stone's mother. She called me an hour ago begging me to talk some sense into her son. I tried. He wouldn't listen. Diesel cursed under his breath. We need to move Maya. Get her somewhere else. Already working on it. I've got a safe house in rural Georgia. Friend of mine runs it. Maya can leave this afternoon. Terry will follow. Let him try. Interstate flight to commit a felony that's federal. FBI gets involved. Terry's local connections won't help him there. It was a good plan. Smart. But something felt wrong about it. Something in Diesel's gut was screaming that moving Maya now would trigger exactly the response they were trying to avoid. What if we don't run? Diesel said slowly, the idea forming as he spoke. What if we let Terry come? Dorothy was silent for a moment. Explain. Terry's planning something for tonight. Probably going to try to take Maya, make me look bad. Or both. But if we know he's coming, we can control the situation. Get it on camera. Get witnesses. Make it so obvious that even his cop friends can't cover it up. That's risky, Dorothy said. Everything about this is risky. At least this way we're not running. We're taking the fight to him. Dorothy thought about it. Diesel could almost hear her weighing options, calculating risks. What would you need? She asked finally. Cameras, Good ones, multiple angles, and I need Maya to agree to be bait. She'll never ask her. Let her decide. Dorothy hung up. Diesel drove the rest of the way to the shelter in silence, his mind racing through scenarios. Terry would come with his friends, 4 against 1. Bad odds. But Diesel had faced worse. The key was making sure everything was documented, making sure that when the dust settled, the truth was undeniable. When Diesel arrived at the shelter, Maya was waiting for him in the common room. Dorothy must have already talked to her. "Is it true?" Maya asked. "Terry's coming tonight. Looks that way." "Dorothy said you have a plan, that you want me to stay here, to be bait." Diesel nodded. "But only if you agree. If you want to run, we can do that too. Dorothy's got a safe house ready in Georgia." Maya stood and walked to the window. She was silent for a long moment. "I've been running for 6 years," she said quietly. "Every day, running from his anger, from his fists, from his words. Even when I stayed in the same house, I was running into smaller and smaller spaces inside myself where he couldn't reach me." She turned to face Diesel. "I'm tired of running." "This won't be easy," Diesel warned. "He's going to come here angry, dangerous. It could get ugly." "It's already ugly. At least this way it ends. One way or another, it ends tonight." Diesel saw the steel in her eyes and recognized it. The same steel his grandmother had found too late. The same steel every survivor found when they decided they'd had enough. "Okay," Diesel said. "Then here's what we do." He laid out the plan. Dorothy would set up cameras throughout the shelter entrance common areas, Maya's room. They'd position witnesses in safe locations where they could see but not be seen. Diesel would be there but out of sight initially. Let Terry make the first move. Let him show his true colors. And when he did, they'd have everything on record. "What if he hurts you?" Maya asked. "He won't." "How can you be sure?" "Because I've been in situations a lot worse than Terry Johnson, and I'm still standing." Maya wanted to believe him. Diesel could see it. But she'd lived with Terry's violence too long to believe anyone was invincible. "If something happens to you because of me," she started. "Nothing's going to happen to me," Diesel said firmly. "And even if it did, that's my choice, not your fault. Never your fault. You understand?" Maya nodded, but Diesel could see she didn't fully believe it. Victims of abuse always blamed themselves, always carried guilt that didn't belong to them. Dorothy spent the afternoon setting up cameras. She called in favors, and by 4:00 p.m., the shelter had 6 high-definition cameras covering every entrance and common area. She also called Detective Vanessa Brooks, one of the few cops she trusted, and gave her a heads up. "I can't officially do anything unless a crime is committed," Detective Brooks said over the phone. Diesel could hear her through the speaker. "But I'll be in the area. If something goes down, I can respond quickly." "Thank you, Vanessa," Dorothy said. "Don't thank me yet. If this goes wrong, if someone gets hurt, there's going to be questions. Lots of questions." "Understood." Detective Brooks hung up. Dorothy looked at Diesel. "Last chance to change your mind." "I'm not changing my mind." "Stubborn." "Committed." As evening approached, the other women in the shelter were moved to a church across town. Dorothy didn't want anyone else at risk. By 7:00 p.m., the shelter was empty, except for Maya Dorothy Diesel and 2 of Dorothy's volunteers women who'd been through situations like Maya's and wanted to help. At 7:30 p.m., as the sun was setting, Terry's Escalade pulled into the parking lot. But he wasn't alone. 3 more vehicles followed. Marcus's red Mustang, Jamal's lifted pickup, Darnell's SUV, 4 men against 1. Just like Snake had warned. Diesel watched from Maya's room on the 2nd floor. Maya stood beside him, her face pale, but determined. "You don't have to watch this," Diesel said. "Yes, I do." Down in the parking lot, Terry got out of his Escalade. Even from the 2nd floor, Diesel could see he'd been drinking. Not as drunk as last night, but enough to make him dangerous. Terry walked up to the shelter's front door and pounded on it. "Maya," he shouted. "I know you're in there. Get out here now." Dorothy opened the door, standing in the entrance with her arms crossed. She was 67 years old and 5'3", but she faced Terry without flinching. "Mr. Johnson," she said calmly, "you need to leave. Where's my wife?" "That's not your concern." "The hell it's not. She's my wife. I have rights." "You have the right to leave before I call the police," Dorothy said. "Maya doesn't want to see you." Terry tried to push past her, but Dorothy didn't move. Behind Terry, his 3 friends got out of their vehicles, forming a wall of intimidation. "Last chance, old woman," Terry snarled. "Get out of my way." "No!" Terry's hand shot out and grabbed Dorothy's arm. That was his first mistake. Dorothy didn't resist, didn't pull away. She just stood there, and the camera above the door captured everything in perfect clarity. "You're hurting me," Dorothy said loudly, clearly. "Let go of my arm." Terry squeezed harder. "I'll let go when you bring me my wife." That's when Diesel came down the stairs. He moved quietly, appearing in the hallway behind Dorothy like a shadow materializing. Terry saw him, and his expression changed from anger to something darker. "You," Terry spat. "This is all your fault. Everything. My marriage, my reputation, my life. You destroyed it all." "You destroyed it yourself," Diesel said calmly. "Years before I showed up. I just stopped you from destroying Maya, too." "She's mine," Terry screamed, his grip on Dorothy's arm tightening. "She's my wife. She promised to love, honor, and obey. She belongs to me. She's a human being. She doesn't belong to anyone." Terry let go of Dorothy and took a step toward Diesel. Marcus, Jamal, and Darnell moved closer, backing their friend. "You don't understand," Terry said, his voice dropping to something almost pleading. "You don't understand what it's like to love someone so much it hurts, to need them, to know they're the only thing keeping you together." "That's not love, Terry. That's obsession, and it's killing you both." Terry's face contorted. "Then we'll die together. If I can't have her, nobody can." He reached into his jacket and pulled out a gun. Everything changed in that instant. Dorothy gasped and stepped back. Diesel's hand moved toward the knife on his belt, but Terry was faster. He leveled the gun at Diesel's chest. "Don't," Terry said. "Don't even think about it." Behind him, Marcus and Jamal looked nervous. This wasn't what they'd signed up for. Darnell had gone pale. "Terry, man," Darnell said. "Put the gun away. This isn't—" "Shut up!" Terry screamed without looking back. "Shut up, all of you. This is between me and this biker and my wife." "Terry, listen to me," Diesel said, keeping his voice steady. "You pull that trigger, your life is over. Not Maya's, not mine, yours. You'll go to prison for murder. Is that what you want?" "I don't care," Terry said. "I don't care about anything anymore. She took everything from me. You took everything from me. I've got nothing left." "That's not true. You can still walk away from this. Put the gun down. Get help. Start over." Terry laughed. It was a broken sound full of pain and rage. "Start over. I'm 42 years old. My wife left me. My friends will testify against me. My career is over. What exactly am I supposed to start over with?" "Your life," Diesel said. "You still have your life. Don't throw it away." For a moment, just a moment, something flickered in Terry's eyes. Doubt, exhaustion, the weight of 6 years of violence finally catching up to him. Then Maya appeared at the top of the stairs. "Terry?" Her voice was quiet, but it cut through everything. Terry's head snapped toward her. The gun wavered. "Baby," Terry said, and suddenly his voice was soft, pleading. "Baby, come home. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." "I didn't mean any of it. I love you. You know I love you." Maya descended the stairs slowly, each step deliberate. When she reached the bottom, she stopped next to Diesel. "I know you think you love me," Maya said, "but what you've done to me, what you've put me through for 6 years, that's not love. That's control. That's fear. That's everything love is supposed to protect me from." "I can change," Terry said. "I swear I can change. Just give me one more chance." "I gave you chances, hundreds of them. Every time you hit me and said you were sorry. Every time you promised it would never happen again. Every time you told me I was the one making you angry. I gave you chances, Terry, and you used every single one of them to hurt me more. Tears were streaming down Terry's face now. Please, he whispered. Please, Maya, I can't live without you. Yes, you can, Maya said, and so can I. That's what I finally understand. I can live without you. I can live without being afraid. I can live without counting the drinks you've had to know how bad the night will be. I can live. She took a breath. And I'm going to, with or without your permission. Terry's hand shook. The gun trembled. I'll kill him, Terry said, nodding toward Diesel. I'll kill him right now. Then you'll have no one. Then you'll have to come back. No, Maya said. I won't. Even if you kill everyone in this building, I won't go back to you. Not ever. Not for anything. Because death would be better than living in that prison you called a marriage. The words hit Terry like physical blows. His face crumbled. And in that moment of weakness, Diesel moved. He closed the distance in 2 steps, grabbing Terry's wrist and forcing the gun toward the ceiling. Terry pulled the trigger. The shot was deafening, but the bullet went through the ceiling harmless. Then they were fighting, wrestling for control of the weapon. Terry was strong, stronger than he looked, but Diesel was trained. He twisted Terry's arm, applying pressure to the wrist, until Terry cried out and dropped the gun. Diesel kicked it away and put Terry on the ground, face first, arm locked behind his back. It's over, Diesel said. It's done. But Terry was crying now, great heaving sobs that shook his whole body. I loved her, he choked out. I really did love her. No, Diesel said quietly. You loved owning her. There's a difference. That's when the police arrived. Not Terry's cop friends. Detective Vanessa Brooks, along with 2 state troopers. She'd been waiting nearby just like she promised. When she heard the gunshot, she moved. Terry Johnson, Detective Brooks said, getting out of her car with her hand on her weapon. You're under arrest for assault with a deadly weapon violation of a restraining order and reckless endangerment. That's absurd, Terry screamed from the ground. He attacked me. Really? Detective Brooks pulled out her phone and showed Terry the screen. Because I've been watching this whole thing on the shelter's security system, cloud storage, Mr. Johnson. Can't steal what isn't physically there. Terry's face went white. The state troopers moved in, handcuffing Terry and pulling him to his feet. Marcus and Jamal were already backing toward their vehicles. Darnell stood frozen, looking sick. You 3, Detective Brooks called out. Don't move. You're witnesses at minimum, possibly accessories. We'll sort that out at the station. Marcus broke first. We didn't know, he said. We didn't know he had a gun. We were just supposed to help him talk to his wife, that's all. Save it for your statement, Detective Brooks said. As the troopers led Terry to the patrol car, he twisted around and locked eyes with Maya. This isn't over, he said. You hear me? This isn't over. I'll get out. I'll find you. Mr. Johnson, Detective Brooks interrupted. I'd advise you to stop talking. Anything you say can and will be used against you in court. They put Terry in the back of the patrol car and closed the door. And just like that, it was over. Or so Maya thought. Diesel watched the police cars drive away, then turned to Maya. You okay? Maya was shaking. The adrenaline was wearing off, and the reality of what had just happened was hitting her all at once. I don't know, she admitted. I don't know what I feel. Dorothy came over and wrapped an arm around her. That's normal, honey. You just did something incredibly brave. It's going to take time to process. He had a gun, Maya said. He was really going to kill you. But he didn't, Diesel said. And he's going to jail. Real jail this time. Multiple felonies caught on camera. Even his lawyer friends can't get him out of this. Maya wanted to believe him. She really did. But something in Terry's eyes, that final promise that it wasn't over, kept echoing in her mind. Detective Brooks came over after finishing with the other officers. We need statements from everyone, she said. Tonight if possible. But Maya, I want you to know you did the right thing. Standing up to him like that, most people would have frozen. I almost did, Maya admitted. But then I thought about all the times I stayed quiet, all the times I let him win because I was afraid. I couldn't do it anymore. Detective Brooks nodded. That took courage. Hold on to that feeling. You're going to need it. What do you mean? Detective Brooks hesitated. Terry Johnson isn't the type to accept defeat. Even from a jail cell, he's going to cause problems. His father has money. His lawyer is good. There's going to be a fight over bail, over evidence, over everything. You need to be prepared for that. Diesel stepped forward. She won't be alone. I'll make sure of that. Detective Brooks looked at him for a long moment. I hope you know what you're getting into, Mr. Crawford. Men like Terry, they don't just go after the person who left them. They go after everyone who helped. I know, Diesel said. Let him come. The statements took 3 hours. By the time they finished, it was nearly midnight. Maya was exhausted emotionally and physically drained. Dorothy set her up in a room at the back of the shelter away from the bullet hole in the ceiling and the memories of what had happened. Try to sleep, Dorothy said. Tomorrow we'll figure out next steps. What about Diesel? He's outside. Said he's going to stay until dawn, just in case. Maya walked to the window and looked out. In the shadows, she could see Diesel's silhouette on his motorcycle. Watching, waiting, protecting, just like he'd promised. She pulled out her phone and texted him, "Thank you for everything." His response came a moment later. "Get some sleep. Tomorrow's going to be a long day." What happens tomorrow? We make sure Terry stays in jail, and we start building you a new life. Maya stared at the message for a long time. A new life. The words felt impossible. After 6 years with Terry, she'd forgotten what a life without fear even looked like. But maybe, just maybe, she was about to find out. She climbed into bed and closed her eyes. And for the second night in a row, Maya Johnson fell asleep, knowing she wasn't alone. But 8 miles away in the county jail, Terry Johnson wasn't sleeping. He was making plans. And at 6:47 a.m., when his father posted bail, Terry walked out of that jail with one thought burning in his mind. This wasn't over, not by a long shot. Diesel's phone rang at 6:47 a.m. He'd been awake for hours, sitting in his apartment, cleaning his service pistol, a habit from his Army days that he'd never broken. When he saw Detective Brooks's name on the screen, he knew it was bad news. "He made bail," she said without preamble. Diesel's hand tightened on the phone. "How, Judge Morrison, one of Terry's father's golf buddies, set bail at $10,000. Terry's father posted it at midnight. The paperwork just cleared. You've got him on camera, assault with a deadly weapon, threatening to kill Maya. There's no way. I know what I've got." Detective Brooks interrupted, frustration bleeding through her professional tone. But Morrison claimed Terry was defending his marital rights, said the footage showed Terry trying to retrieve his wife from unlawful confinement. That's insane. That's the system. I'm sorry, Diesel. I really am. I fought this. The DA fought this. But Morrison has final say on bail. And he said yes. Diesel stood and walked to his window. Where is he now? We don't know. He's required to stay away from Maya, from the shelter, from you. But Terry Johnson doesn't strike me as someone who follows rules. No, he's not. Watch your back, Detective Brooks said. I've seen men like Terry before. When they lose control, they don't just give up. They burn everything down. Diesel thanked her and hung up. He immediately called Dorothy. She answered on the first ring. I already know, Dorothy said. Vanessa called me 20 minutes ago. Maya's still asleep. I haven't told her yet. How is she? After the statement. She was shaking for 2 hours, couldn't stop. Then she just shut down. Went to her room, closed the door. I checked on her at 4 a.m. She was lying in bed, staring at the ceiling. Diesel recognized that response. Shock. The body's way of protecting itself when reality became too much to process. I'm coming over, Diesel said. Diesel, if Terry's out there somewhere, then I need to be there. Between him and Maya, that's not negotiable. Dorothy sighed but didn't argue. She knew Diesel well enough by now to understand that once he made a decision, nothing would change his mind. Diesel grabbed his jacket and helmet, but before he could leave, his phone rang again. This time, it was Snake. We've got a problem, Snake said. I'm aware. Terry made bail. It's worse than that. My contact in the police department just called. Terry filed a counter-complaint last night from his cell, says you assaulted him unprovoked at Earl's diner, says you've been stalking his wife, says you're running some kind of kidnapping operation. Diesel felt cold wash through him. None of that's true. Earl's got footage. Earl's diner got broken into last night, 3:00 a.m. Someone smashed the security system, took the hard drives. The cold turned to ice. Terry was smarter than Diesel had given him credit for. Eliminate the evidence. Create a counter-narrative. Make Diesel the bad guy. There are backups, Diesel said. Earl told me he copied everything. Better hope so, because right now it's Terry's word against yours. And Terry's got a lot more credibility than a Hell's Angel with 3 prior assault arrests. Those charges were dropped. Doesn't matter. Optics matter. Story matters. And Terry's telling a story that people want to believe. The concerned husband trying to save his wife from a violent criminal. Diesel wanted to punch something. Instead, he forced himself to breathe, to think. What's the play? He asked. Lawyer up. Today. Don't talk to cops without representation. And Diesel, be careful. Terry's connected. He can make your life very difficult. After Snake hung up, Diesel sat on his couch and forced himself to think strategically. Terry had made his move, destroyed evidence, filed false charges, positioned himself as the victim. It was smart, ruthless. Exactly what someone would do if they'd planned this scenario in advance, which meant Terry had been planning this for a while, maybe since the first night at Earl's, maybe longer. Diesel's phone buzzed with a text from a number he didn't recognize. You should have stayed out of this, biker. Now you're going to pay. And when I'm done with you, I'm coming for Maya. She's going to learn what happens to wives who betray their husbands. Diesel stared at the message. It wasn't signed, but he knew who it was from. Terry was escalating, threatening, testing boundaries. Diesel didn't respond. Instead, he forwarded the message to Detective Brooks, then headed to the shelter. When he arrived at 8:15 a.m., Dorothy met him at the door. Her face was drawn, worried. Maya's awake, she said quietly. I told her about the bail. She's not taking it well. Diesel found Maya in the common room, sitting at the same table where they'd talked yesterday. She looked up when he entered, and Diesel saw something in her eyes that scared him more than Terry's threats. Resignation. He's never going to stop, Maya said. Her voice was flat, emotionless. He'll keep coming, keep finding ways to hurt me, hurt you, hurt anyone who tries to help me. Maya, I should just go back, end this before someone gets killed. That's what he wants you to think, Diesel said firmly, that you're powerless, that resistance is futile, but it's not true. Isn't it? Maya's eyes were hollow. He made bail. He destroyed the evidence. He's filing charges against you. He's winning, Diesel. He's always winning. No, he's desperate. Desperate people make mistakes. And Terry's about to make a big one. Maya looked at him with exhausted eyes. What if the mistake is you dying because you tried to help me? Diesel sat across from her. Listen to me. I've been in combat. Real combat. Life and death. Bullets flying, people dying around me. You know what I learned? Maya shook her head. The person who survives isn't always the strongest or the fastest. It's the person who refuses to quit, who keeps fighting even when it looks hopeless. But what if fighting just makes it worse? It can't get worse than going back to him. You know what happens if you go back. He'll kill you eventually. Maybe not today. Maybe not tomorrow, but one day his anger will go too far and you'll be dead. Is that really better than fighting? Maya's eyes filled with tears. I'm just so tired. Tired of being afraid. Tired of running. Tired of dragging other people into my nightmare. Then let's end the nightmare, Diesel said. Not by surrendering, by winning. Really winning. Putting Terry away for so long he can't hurt you anymore. How he's got lawyers, friends, connections. And we've got the truth. Earl's backup footage, Dorothy's security cameras, witnesses, your testimony. Terry thinks he's destroyed the evidence, but he hasn't. He's just making himself look more guilty. Dorothy brought over 2 cups of coffee and sat down with them. Diesel's right. she said. "I've been doing this for 23 years, helped over 300 women leave abusive situations. Some went back, some kept running. But the ones who really survived, they were the ones who stood and fought. Who said no more and meant it." Maya wiped her eyes. "I want to believe you, both of you. But I've tried fighting before. Terry always wins." "That's because you were fighting alone," Diesel said. "This time you're not." Before Maya could respond, Diesel's phone rang. It was Earl. "Diesel, we've got a situation." "What kind of situation?" "Terry just showed up at the diner with 2 sheriff's deputies. They've got a warrant for your arrest." Diesel's stomach dropped. "On what charges?" "Assault, kidnapping, criminal threatening. Terry's claiming you attacked him at the diner, then kidnapped his wife and are holding her against her will." "That's all lies. I know that, you know that, but the warrant's real. And Diesel, one of the deputies, is Terry's cousin. This is a setup. What should I do?" Diesel looked at Maya and Dorothy. They'd both heard Earl's side of the conversation through the phone's speaker. "Turn yourself in," Earl said. "But not to these deputies. Call Detective Brooks. Surrender to her directly. Get ahead of this before Terry can spin it further." It was good advice. Diesel knew it. But every instinct in his body screamed against letting himself be arrested. Once he was in custody, Maya would be vulnerable. Terry would make his move. "I need to think," Diesel said. "Don't think too long. If you run, it makes you look guilty." Earl hung up. Dorothy spoke first. "He's right. You need to turn yourself in. If you don't, they'll hunt you down. They'll use it against you. And while I'm sitting in a cell, Terry will come for Maya. I can protect her. Against Terry, against his friends, against his cop connections." Dorothy didn't have an answer for that. Maya stood up so fast, her chair fell over. "No, absolutely not. I'm not letting you sacrifice yourself for me." "It's not a sacrifice," Diesel said. "It's strategy. Terry wants me out of the way. Fine, let him think he's won. While he's focused on my arrest, you disappear." "Disappear where?" Dorothy answered. "The underground network. I've got contacts in Georgia, a safe house outside Atlanta. They can move you today, give you a new identity, a new life." Maya's face went pale. "Leave everything, just vanish." "Terry will never find you. He'll never hurt you again." "And what happens to Diesel?" "He goes to prison for helping me." "I'll fight the charges," Diesel said. "Earl's got backup footage. Detective Brooks knows the truth. It might take time, but I'll be fine." "You don't know that." "I know I'd rather be in a cell knowing you're safe than out here watching you get hurt." Maya started crying. "Why? Why do you keep doing this? Why won't you just let me go back to him and end all of this?" Diesel took her hands in his. "Because you deserve better. Because every person who ever said you weren't worth saving was wrong. Because my grandmother died thinking no one cared, and I swore I'd never let that happen to anyone else." Maya squeezed his hands. "I don't want to leave. I don't want to start over alone." "You won't be alone. The network will help you. Dorothy will stay in touch, and someday when this is all over, I'll find you. Promise. Promise." Dorothy made the calls while Diesel prepared to leave. Maya would be moved at midnight. A car would take her to a safe house in Georgia, then on to a new life. At 11:00 a.m., Diesel called Detective Brooks. "I'm turning myself in," he said, "but I'm coming to you directly, not Terry's deputies." "Smart move. Where are you now?" "The shelter. Stay there. I'll pick you up in an hour. We'll do this by the book." "Thank you." "Don't thank me yet. These charges are serious. Even with Earl's backup footage, you're going to need a good lawyer." "I'll figure it out." "You better, because Terry's not stopping." His lawyer just filed a motion to have Maya declared mentally incompetent, says she's been brainwashed by a cult and needs to be returned to her husband's care. Diesel's blood boiled. "That's insane." "It's legal maneuvering. Terry's trying to create so many problems that you and Maya can't fight them all. It's a classic abuser tactic." "How do we stop it?" "You survive, you stay out of jail, you keep Maya hidden until the trial, and you don't give Terry any more ammunition." Diesel hung up. 1 hour. He had 1 hour before Detective Brooks arrived, 1 hour to say goodbye to Maya. He found her in her room, packing the few belongings she'd managed to grab when she fled. "You ready?" he asked. "No, but I'm going anyway." She turned to face him. "Diesel, I need to tell you something." "What?" "When I met you at the diner when you gave me that card, I almost threw it away. I'd been let down so many times, by police, by family, by everyone. I didn't believe anyone could really help me. But you kept it. I kept it because of your eyes. You looked at me like I was a person. Not a victim, not a problem, just a person. Do you know how long it had been since anyone looked at me like that?" Diesel didn't answer. He didn't need to. "Thank you," Maya said, "not just for saving my life, for giving it back to me, for making me believe I was worth saving." She stepped forward and hugged him. Diesel held her carefully, mindful of his own strength, remembering how fragile she'd seemed that first night. But Maya wasn't fragile anymore. She was steel-wrapped in kindness. She'd taken her pain and was already forging it into purpose. "Stay safe," Diesel said. "And when you get to Georgia, call Dorothy. Let us know you're okay." "I will." "And Maya." "Yes. Live. Really live. Don't just survive. Go out there and build a life that makes everything you've been through worth it." Maya pulled back and looked at him with tear-filled eyes. "You too, Diesel. Promise me, when this is over, you'll stop carrying everyone else's pain and start living for yourself." Before Diesel could answer, Dorothy burst into the room. "We've got a problem." "What now?" "Terry's not waiting. I just got a call from my contact in the network. Someone leaked Maya's location." Diesel's heart stopped. "That's impossible. The network is secure." "Not anymore. Terry's father has money, a lot of it. Enough to buy information from people who should know better." "Who?" "I don't know. But Terry knows Maya's going to Georgia. He knows about the safe house, and he left his house 20 minutes ago with a bag packed." Everything changed. Maya's escape route was compromised, Terry was already on his way, and Detective Brooks was coming to arrest Diesel in 40 minutes. "We need a new plan," Diesel said. "Right now." Dorothy was already on her phone. "I'm calling Maria." "She runs a safe house in Alabama. Terry doesn't know about her." "How can you be sure?" "Because Maria's not part of the main network. She's independent, off the grid completely. I only know about her because we were college roommates 40 years ago." "Can she take Maya today?" "I'll find out." While Dorothy made calls, Diesel pulled Maya aside. "Change of plans. You're going to Alabama instead. Different route, different destination." "But Terry doesn't know about Alabama. Nobody does. That's what makes it safe." "What about you? If you turn yourself in, you can't help me." Diesel made a decision. "Then I'm not turning myself in. Not yet. But Detective Brooks will understand. When I explain that Terry was already on his way to Georgia, that Maya's life was in danger, she'll understand. And if she doesn't, then I'll deal with the consequences, but not until you're safe." Dorothy came back, her face grim. "Maria's ready, but there's a problem. The route to Alabama goes through Mississippi, and Terry's got friends in Mississippi law enforcement. Can we go around? It'll add 4 hours to the trip. Then we add 4 hours. Diesel, you can't just..." "I'm not letting Maya walk into an ambush. If Terry's on his way to Georgia, he'll realize pretty quick she's not there. Then he'll start looking. We need to move fast and move quiet." Dorothy nodded slowly. "Okay, I'll drive. You follow on your bike. But Diesel, if we get stopped..." "I know. I'll take the heat. Just get Maya out." They left the shelter at 11:30 a.m. Dorothy's car in front, Diesel's Harley behind. Maya sat in the passenger seat, watching Diesel's headlight in the mirror. Her heart was pounding, but for the first time in days, she didn't feel afraid. She felt angry. Angry that Terry had driven her from her home. Angry that he'd corrupted the police. Angry that even now, even after everything, she was still running. But she wasn't running away anymore. She was running toward something. A new life. A new beginning. A future that Terry couldn't touch. They'd been on the road for 3 hours when Diesel's phone buzzed. Text from Detective Brooks. "Where are you?" "I'm at the shelter. Dorothy's gone. You're gone. I'm trying to help you, Diesel. Don't make me look for you." Diesel typed back. "Terry compromised the escape route. Maya was in danger. I had to move her." Move her where? Can't say. Not over text. Terry might be monitoring. There was a long pause. Then, you're making this worse for yourself, running from a warrant, fleeing the jurisdiction. I can't protect you from this. I know, but I can protect Maya. That's what matters. Diesel. When she's safe, I'll turn myself in. I promise. But not until then. He put the phone away. 4 hours later, they crossed into Alabama. The tension in the car had been building for miles. Every passing truck made Maya flinch. Every car that followed too long made Dorothy grip the wheel tighter. But they made it. Maria Torres met them at the end of a long dirt road. 58 years old, former nurse, survivor. She'd been running her safe house for 15 years, helping women escape situations just like Maya's. "Come inside," Maria said, taking Maya's bag. "You're safe now." Maya looked back at Diesel. "This is where we part ways," Diesel said. "For now. Will I see you again? When this is over, I'll find you. Promise. Promise." Maria led Maya inside. Dorothy followed. Diesel stayed by his bike watching the house until the lights came on. Until he was sure Maya was inside. Until he was sure she was safe. Then he pulled out his phone. Text to Detective Brooks. "She's safe. I'm ready to come in." The response came immediately. "Where me, Memphis. Earl's Diner. I'll wait there." "I'm on my way. 4 hours." Diesel started his bike and headed back toward Memphis. He'd made it maybe 50 miles when his phone buzzed again. Unknown number. "Did you really think I wouldn't find out? Did you really think you could hide her from me?" Diesel's blood went cold. Another text. "Alabama was smart, but not smart enough. Maria Torres, 247 County Road 14. Nice place. Shame if something happened to it." Diesel slammed on the brakes. No. How had Terry found out? He called Dorothy. No answer. He called Maria. No answer. He called Maya. No answer. Diesel turned his bike around and pushed it to 100 miles per hour. The drive back to Alabama was the longest 90 minutes of his life. When he finally pulled onto County Road 14, his worst fears were confirmed. Terry's Escalade was parked outside Maria's house, and the front door was wide open. Diesel didn't think. He moved, off the bike before it fully stopped, running toward the house, every muscle in his body screaming from the hours of riding, but he didn't feel any of it. The front door hung open on broken hinges. Inside, he found chaos, furniture overturned, a lamp shattered on the floor, blood on the carpet, not much, but enough to make his heart stop. "Maya," he shouted. "Dorothy, Maria." A muffled sound came from the back of the house. Diesel moved fast, clearing each room the way the army had taught him. Kitchen empty. Bedroom empty. Bathroom empty. Then he reached the back room. Dorothy was on the floor, her hands bound behind her back with zip ties. Blood ran from a cut on her forehead. Maria lay next to her unconscious, a bruise already forming on her jaw. But no Maya, no Terry. Diesel knelt beside Dorothy and pulled the tape from her mouth. "Where is she?" he demanded. "Where's Maya?" Dorothy coughed, struggling to catch her breath. "He took her. 5 minutes ago. Maybe 10. I tried to stop him, Diesel. I tried." "Which way did he go?" "I don't know. He had a gun. Put it to Maya's head and told her if she didn't come quietly, he'd kill all of us." Diesel cut the zip ties with his knife and helped Dorothy sit up. "Are you hurt? Can you move?" "I'm fine. Just bruises. But Maria, she tried to fight him. He hit her hard." Diesel checked Maria's pulse. Steady. She'd be okay. "Call 911, Diesel said. "Tell them everything. I'm going after Terry." "Diesel, he has a gun. And Maya. If you... I know what he has. I know what he's capable of. And I know what happens to Maya if I don't stop him." He was back on his bike in seconds, scanning the road. Which way Terry didn't know this area. He'd have to stick to main roads. And if he was planning to take Maya back to Memphis, he'd head north. Diesel pushed the Harley to its limits. 110 miles per hour. 120. The wind tore at his jacket. The engine screamed beneath him. But all he could think about was Maya. Her face when she'd said goodbye. the hope in her eyes, the trust she'd placed in him. He couldn't fail her. Not like he'd failed his mother. Not like he'd failed all the others he couldn't save. 5 miles up the road, he saw it. Terry's Escalade pulled off on the shoulder. Diesel's heart nearly stopped. Why would Terry stop? Why here in the middle of nowhere? He slowed down, approaching carefully. The Escalade's engine was still running. The driver's door was open, but no one was inside. Then he heard it. A scream. Maya's scream. It came from the trees. Diesel was off the bike and running before the sound faded. He crashed through the undergrowth, following the sound of voices. Terry's voice harsh and angry, Maya's voice pleading, then silence. Diesel burst into a clearing and found them. Terry had Maya on the ground, his knee on her back, the gun pressed to the back of her head. "Stop!" Terry screamed when he saw Diesel. "One more step and I blow her brains out." Diesel froze. "Terry, listen to me." "No, you listen to me. You took everything from me. My wife, my reputation, my life, and now you're going to watch her die. That's not going to happen. Really? You think you can stop me? You're 20 feet away. I pull this trigger, she's dead before you take 2 steps. Diesel's mind raced. Terry was right. At this distance, there was nothing Diesel could do. If he moved, Maya died. If he didn't move, Maya might still die. He needed to buy time. "Terry, think about what you're doing. You kill her. You go to prison forever. Is that what you want?" "I don't care about prison. I don't care about anything. All I wanted was my wife. All I wanted was for things to go back to the way they were. But you had to play hero. You had to stick your nose where it didn't belong. I was trying to help her. She didn't need help. She needed me. She needed her husband. We were happy." "No," Maya said suddenly. Her voice was shaky but clear. "No, Terry. We were never happy. You were happy. I was surviving." "Shut up. You hit me on our wedding night. Did you know that you got drunk and you hit me because I didn't smile enough at your mother? That was the first time. And I should have left then. I should have walked out the door and never looked back." I said, "Shut up." But I didn't. Because I believed you when you said you were sorry. Because I believed you when you said it would never happen again. Because I was young and stupid, and I thought love meant enduring pain. Terry's hand was shaking. The gun wavered. "You don't know what you're talking about. I loved you. I still love you. That's not love, Terry. That's possession. There's a difference." Maya slowly turned her head to look at him despite the gun pressed against her skull. "I'm not your property. I never was. And whether you kill me right now or not, that truth doesn't change. You never owned me. You only broke me. And I'm done being broken." Terry's face crumpled. For a moment, just a moment, Diesel saw something human in his eyes. Pain, confusion, the desperate loneliness of a man who'd destroyed everything he claimed to love. Then the moment passed, and the madness returned. "If I can't have you," Terry whispered, "then no one will." His finger tightened on the trigger. Diesel moved. 20 feet had never felt so far. He closed the distance in seconds that felt like hours, launching himself at Terry just as the gun went off. The shot was deafening. Diesel crashed into Terry, and they went down in a tangle of limbs. The gun flew from Terry's hand, spinning away into the grass. They fought. Terry was strong, stronger than he looked, and fueled by rage and desperation. He clawed at Diesel's face, going for his eyes. Diesel blocked the strike and drove his elbow into Terry's ribs. Terry gasped, but didn't stop. He grabbed Diesel's throat and squeezed. Diesel's vision started to blur. He could feel himself weakening, the hours of riding, the stress, the fear. It was all catching up to him. But then he heard Maya's voice. "Diesel!" She was alive. The shot had missed. She was alive. That knowledge surged through Diesel like electricity. He grabbed Terry's wrists and pried them away from his throat. Then he headbutted Terry square in the face. Bone crunched. Terry screamed and released his grip. Diesel rolled on top of him and pinned him down. One hand on Terry's throat, one hand raised in a fist. "It's over," Diesel gasped. "You hear me? It's over." Terry struggled, but he had nothing left. The fight had gone out of him. His nose was broken. Blood poured down his face. Tears mixed with the blood. "Just kill me," Terry sobbed. "Just do it. I've got nothing left. Nothing." Diesel's fist trembled. Every part of him wanted to end it, to make sure Terry Johnson never hurt anyone again, to finish what should have been finished the first night at Earl's Diner. But then he felt a hand on his shoulder. "Maya, don't," she said softly. "Don't become like him." Diesel looked at her. She was crying. There was dirt on her face and blood on her shirt, probably from when Terry tackled her, but she was alive. She was whole. She was free. "He doesn't deserve mercy," Diesel said. "No, he doesn't, but you do. You deserve to walk away from this clean. Don't let him take that from you, too." Diesel stared at Terry. At this broken, pathetic man who'd spent years terrorizing the woman he claimed to love, and he lowered his fist. "You're going to prison," Diesel said, "for a very long time. And every day you're in there, you're going to think about what you did, what you lost, and you're going to know that you have no one to blame but yourself." He pulled Terry to his feet and zip-tied his hands behind his back, the same zip ties Terry had used on Dorothy. Then he called Detective Brooks. She was already on her way. Maria had called 911. Alabama state troopers were en route. And Detective Brooks had been tracking Diesel's phone, praying she'd find him before it was too late. "I've got him," Diesel said when she answered. "Terry Johnson. He's in custody." "Where are you?" Diesel gave her the location. "Don't move. I'll be there in 15 minutes. "I'm not going anywhere." He hung up and looked at Maya. She was sitting on a fallen log, her arms wrapped around herself. The adrenaline was fading, and the reality of what had almost happened was setting in. Diesel sat down next to her. "You okay?" Maya laughed a broken, exhausted sound. "No, but I'm alive, and he's not going to hurt me anymore, so I guess that's something. That's everything." They sat in silence for a moment. Then Maya spoke. "When he had the gun to my head, when I thought I was going to die, I wasn't scared." Diesel looked at her. "I was angry," Maya continued. "Angry that after everything I'd been through, after finally finding the courage to leave, it was going to end like this. In the woods, alone, with him still in control. But it didn't end like that. No, because of you." She turned to face him. "You came for me, even when it meant risking everything. Even when it would have been easier to just let the police handle it. You came. I made a promise. You kept it. Nobody's ever kept a promise to me before." Diesel didn't know what to say to that. So he just sat there next to this woman who'd been through hell and come out the other side. And he let her cry, let her shake, let her feel whatever she needed to feel. Because sometimes that was all you could do, just be there, just show up, just stay. Detective Brooks arrived with a convoy of police cars. Terry was loaded into a patrol car, his rights read to him by an Alabama state trooper. The charges this time were federal kidnapping across state lines, assault with a deadly weapon, attempted murder. Even his father's money couldn't buy his way out of this. Detective Brooks stood with Diesel while the scene was processed. "You know you're still facing charges in Tennessee," she said. "I know. But given what happened here, the circumstances, I think we can make most of them go away. Self-defense, defense of others. You've got witnesses. You've got evidence. And you've got Terry Johnson looking exactly like what he is, a violent abuser who should have been stopped years ago." "What about the warrant?" "Judge Morrison is already being investigated. Turns out his relationship with Terry's father goes deeper than golf buddies. There are financial records, favors exchanged. By next week, Morrison will be too busy defending himself to worry about you." Diesel felt something loosen in his chest. "So it's really over." "The legal part. It's going to take time. Months probably. But yeah, it's over. Terry's never getting out. Not after this." Diesel looked over at Maya. She was talking to a female officer giving her statement. Her voice was steady now, strong. "What happens to her?" he asked. "That's up to her. She can stay in Alabama, go back to Memphis, start over somewhere new. The choice is hers." "Good. That's good." Detective Brooks studied him for a moment. "You did a good thing, Diesel. A dangerous, stupid, reckless thing. But a good thing. Most people would have walked away, called the cops, let the system handle it. The system wasn't handling it. The system was letting him win. I know, and that's why I became a cop, to fix the parts of the system that are broken. But I can't do it alone. None of us can. She paused. You ever think about doing this officially, helping women like Maya? What do you mean? I mean, there are organizations, networks. People who do what you did, protect victims, help them escape, but with training, resources, legal backing. Diesel had never thought about it. He'd always operated alone, off the books, outside the system. But maybe that was the problem. Maybe doing it alone was why people kept slipping through the cracks. I'll think about it, he said. Do that. And Diesel, thank you for not giving up on her. Detective Brooks walked away to coordinate with the other officers. Diesel stayed where he was watching Maya. She looked up and caught his eye. And she smiled. Not a big smile, not a happy smile, but a real one. A smile that said, I'm still here. I made it. We made it. Diesel smiled back. Maya was taken to a hospital for evaluation. Diesel went with her, riding his bike alongside the ambulance. He wasn't going to leave her, not until he was sure she was safe. At the hospital, a doctor examined her and confirmed what they already knew: bruises, scrapes, minor cuts. Nothing life-threatening, nothing permanent, nothing except the scars she'd carry inside for the rest of her life. But those scars would heal too, in time, with help. Diesel sat in the waiting room while Maya rested. Dorothy arrived an hour later, bandages on her forehead, but otherwise intact. Maria's okay, she said, sitting down next to Diesel. Concussion, but she'll recover. She's already talking about reinforcing her security system. Good. Dorothy was quiet for a moment. You saved her life, James. Maya's life. You know that, right? I just did what anyone would have done. No, you did what most people are too afraid to do. You put yourself in harm's way for a stranger. You risked everything, your freedom, your life, for someone you barely knew. I knew enough. Dorothy smiled. Your grandmother would be proud of you. Diesel felt his throat tighten. He hadn't thought about his grandmother in years. Not really. He'd buried those memories deep, along with all the pain and guilt and loss that came with them. But Dorothy was right. His grandmother would be proud. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough. Maya was released from the hospital the next morning. She found Diesel in the parking lot, leaning against his bike, waiting for her. You didn't have to stay, she said. Yeah, I did. Maya walked over and stood in front of him. What happens now? She asked. Now you start living. Really living, not surviving, not just getting through each day, living. I don't even know what that looks like anymore. You'll figure it out. You've got time now. All the time in the world. Maya nodded slowly. What about you? What are you going to do? Diesel thought about Detective Brooks's words, about organizations that helped women, about doing this work officially with training and resources and backup. I'm not sure yet, he admitted, but I think it's time I stopped running too. Running from what? From myself, from my past, from the guilt I've been carrying since my grandmother died. Maya reached out and took his hand. You're not responsible for what happened to her. You know that, right? I know. But knowing something and believing it are two different things. Then start believing it. You saved my life, Diesel. You saved Dorothy. You stopped Terry from hurting anyone ever again. That has to count for something. It counts for a lot. I'm just not sure it's enough. Maya squeezed his hand. It's enough. Trust me. It's more than enough. They stood there for a long moment, two broken people who'd found each other in the darkness and somehow made it back to the light. Then Maya spoke. I'm going to stay in Alabama, for now. Maria said I can help her at the safe house, help other women who are going through what I went through. That's good. That's really good. Will you come visit when you can? I'll do more than visit. I'll check in every week. Make sure you're okay. Make sure you're not just surviving. Maya smiled. I'd like that. Diesel reached into his pocket and pulled out his grandmother's ring, a simple gold band that she'd worn every day of her life. He'd kept it all these years, never knowing what to do with it. "Take this," he said, pressing it into Maya's hand. "It was my grandmother's. She would have wanted you to have it." Maya's eyes filled with tears. "Diesel, I can't." "You can, and you will. It's a reminder that you're stronger than you think, that you survived, that you have people who care about you." Maya closed her fingers around the ring. "Thank you," she whispered, "for everything." Diesel pulled her into a hug. "Take care of yourself, Maya Johnson." "You too, James Crawford." He got on his bike, started the engine, and drove away. In his mirrors, he watched Maya standing in the parking lot, getting smaller and smaller until she finally disappeared. But she wasn't really gone. She was just beginning. The drive back to Memphis took 8 hours. Diesel used every minute to think about what he'd done, about what it meant, about what came next. When he pulled into the Hells Angels clubhouse, Hammer was waiting for him. "Heard you had quite a week," Hammer said. "You could say that." "Also heard you made national news. Hells Angels saves woman from abusive husband. They're calling you a hero." Diesel shook his head. "I'm not a hero. I'm just a guy who did what needed to be done." "That's exactly what a hero is, brother." They walked inside together. The whole club was there. Snake Reaper, all of them. They'd gathered to hear what happened, to decide what came next. Hammer stood at the head of the table. 3 weeks ago, Diesel got involved in a domestic situation. Against club rules. He brought heat on us. Against club rules. He left state without permission. Against club rules. The room was silent. But he also saved a woman's life, stopped a man who was going to kill her, put himself in danger for someone who had no one else to turn to. Hammer looked around the room. "That's not against club rules. That's what we're supposed to be about. Protecting people who can't protect themselves. Standing up for what's right, even when it's hard." He turned to Diesel. "We took a vote this morning about whether you keep your patch." Diesel's heart pounded. "The vote was unanimous. You stay, but there's a condition." "Name it." "We want to make this official. This thing you did with Maya. We want to turn it into a club program, help other women escape, work with shelters, with cops, with whoever we need to work with. Do it right." Diesel couldn't believe what he was hearing. "You want the Hells Angels to run a domestic violence intervention program?" "I want us to be more than just bikers," Hammer said. "I want us to matter, to stand for something. And if that starts with protecting women, then that's where it starts." The room erupted in shouts of agreement. Diesel looked at his brothers, these men he'd ridden with, fought with, bled with, and felt something he hadn't felt in years. Pride. "I'm in," he said. "I'm all in." And just like that, everything changed. 2 weeks later, the Hells Angels Domestic Violence Prevention Network officially launched. Dorothy helped set up the structure. Detective Brooks provided training. Shelters across the state agreed to partner with them. Within a month, they'd helped 6 women escape. Within 3 months, 23. The program got attention. Local news first, then national. Suddenly, the Hells Angels weren't just a motorcycle club. They were heroes. But Diesel didn't care about the attention. He only cared about the women. Every face he saw reminded him of Maya, of his grandmother, of all the women who'd been hurt and broken and told they had nowhere to go. He couldn't save them all, but he could save some, and some was better than none. On the 6-month anniversary of the night he met Maya, Diesel rode to Earl's Soul Kitchen. It was raining just like that first night. He parked in the same spot, walked to the same corner booth, ordered the same terrible coffee. Earl came over with a refill. "Heard from Maya yesterday," Earl said. "Yeah, how's she doing?" "Good, really good. She's running the Alabama Safe House now. Maria, retired, handed the whole thing over to Maya." Diesel smiled. "That's great. That's really great." "She asked about you." "What did you tell her?" "Told her you're still out there, still helping people, still being a stubborn fool who won't take a break." Diesel laughed. "Sounds about right." Earl set down the coffee pot and looked at Diesel seriously. "You did good, son. What you did for Maya, what you're doing now, it matters. Don't ever forget that." "I won't." Earl walked away. Diesel sat alone in the booth, drinking his coffee, watching the rain. His phone buzzed. Text from Dorothy. "New case, woman in Georgia, husband's a cop, she's terrified. Can you help?" Diesel smiled. He typed back, "On my way." Then he finished his coffee, left money on the table, and walked out into the rain. His Harley waited, engine rumbling, ready to ride. Maya had been right all those months ago. Some angels wore black leather and rode motorcycles. Some angels were broken people who turned their pain into purpose, but they were angels nonetheless. And Diesel finally believed it. The Georgia case was complicated. The woman's name was Denise Patterson, 34 years old, 2 kids. Husband was a sheriff's deputy in a small town where everyone knew everyone and nobody talked about what happened behind closed doors. Diesel got the call at 3:00 a.m. By 5:00 a.m. he was on the road. By noon, he was sitting across from Denise in a gas station parking lot 60 miles from her home. She was shaking. Wouldn't make eye contact. Kept checking her phone like she expected her husband to materialize out of thin air. "He tracks my location," she said. "Through my phone, through the car, through everything. If he finds out I'm here, he won't find out." "You don't understand. He's a cop. He has access to everything. Cameras, databases, other officers. I can't hide from him." Diesel had heard this before. The helplessness, the certainty that escape was impossible. He'd also proven it wrong, over and over again. "Denise, look at me." She raised her eyes. They were red from crying, dark circles underneath, the look of someone who hadn't slept properly in years. "I helped a woman escape a man just like your husband. He had connections too. Police, fire department, judges. He tracked her across 3 states. And you know what happened? What? She got away. She's running a safe house now in Alabama, helping other women, living her life, free." "How?" "Because she asked for help, and people showed up, just like we're showing up for you right now." Denise's lip trembled. "I'm scared." "I know. That's okay. Being scared doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're smart enough to understand the danger, but you're also here, which means you're brave enough to do something about it." Denise wiped her eyes. "What do I do?" Diesel laid out the plan. New phones for her and the kids, a route that avoided major highways where cameras might pick up her plates, a safe house in Tennessee where she could stay while the legal process played out, lawyers who specialized in cases exactly like hers. It took 3 days to execute, 3 days of careful planning, of moving at night, of watching every mirror for signs of pursuit. But they made it. Denise and her children arrived at the safe house on a Tuesday afternoon. She cried when she walked through the door, not from fear this time, from relief. "Thank you," she said to Diesel. "I don't know how to thank you." "Don't thank me. Just live. That's all the thanks I need." It was becoming his standard answer, because that was the truth. Seeing these women survive, seeing them reclaim their lives, that was payment enough, more than enough. The program grew faster than anyone expected. Within the first year, the Hells Angels Domestic Violence Prevention Network had chapters in 12 states. They'd helped over 200 women escape abusive situations. Some went to shelters, some relocated to other states. All of them found safety. Diesel coordinated every case personally. He drove thousands of miles, made hundreds of calls, spent his own money when resources ran short. The other club members stepped up too. Snake became the legal liaison, working with lawyers and courts. Reaper handled security, making sure abusers couldn't track down the women who'd escaped. Even Hammer got involved, using his connections to find jobs and housing for survivors. But it wasn't just the club. Dorothy expanded her network. Detective Brooks created a task force dedicated to domestic violence cases. Earl's Soul Kitchen became an unofficial safe haven, a place where women could ask for help without fear of judgment. And Maya. Maya became the heart of it all. She ran the Alabama safe house with the same steel that had carried her through 6 years of terror. She trained volunteers. She testified at congressional hearings. She spoke at conferences and in churches and on television, telling her story so that other women would know they weren't alone. Diesel kept his promise. He visited her every month, sometimes more. They never became anything more than friends. But their friendship was forged in fire, literally, and it was stronger than most marriages ever got. "You ever think about stopping?" Maya asked him one night. They were sitting on the porch of her safe house watching the sunset. "Stopping what?" "This, the program, the constant travel, the danger." Diesel considered the question. "Sometimes, when it gets hard, when we lose someone." They'd lost 3 women in the past year, all killed by their abusers before help could arrive. Diesel carried their names in his wallet, permanent reminders that perfect was impossible. "But then, I think about you," he continued, "about that night at Earl's, about what would have happened if I hadn't been there. I'd be dead. Yeah, you would. And that thought, that reality, it keeps me going. Because for every woman we lose, there are dozens more we save, and those lives matter." Maya nodded slowly. "I think about that night too, all the time. I think about how close I came to giving up, to going back to Terry, to accepting that abuse was just my lot in life. But you didn't. Because you showed me another way. You showed me that help existed, that I wasn't alone, that my life was worth fighting for." She turned to look at him. "That's what you give people, Diesel. Not just safety, hope. And hope is the most powerful thing in the world." 2 years after the night at Earl's Diner, the Hells Angels network was featured on national television. A documentary crew had been following Diesel for 6 months, filming everything: the rescues, the training sessions, the late-night phone calls from women too afraid to speak above a whisper. They interviewed everyone: Dorothy, Detective Brooks, Earl, Hammer and the other club members, survivors who'd been helped by the program, and Maya. Maya's interview took 3 hours. She told her whole story, from the first time Terry hit her to the night in the Alabama woods when she thought she was going to die. "I was ready to give up," she said on camera. "I'd accepted that my life was over, that Terry had won. And then this man, this stranger, did something I never expected. He said yes." The documentary premiered at a domestic violence awareness event in Memphis. 500 people attended: survivors, advocates, law enforcement, politicians, regular citizens who'd been touched by the issue in some way. Diesel didn't want to go. He hated attention, hated being in the spotlight. But Dorothy insisted. "You started this," she said. "You should see what it's become." The film opened with footage of Earl's Diner on a rainy night. Then Maya's voiceover. "The coffee pot shattered against the floor at the exact moment I realized I was going to die. But in the corner booth sat a man in black leather whose eyes had been watching everything. And when our eyes met, I made a choice that would change both our lives forever." For 2 hours the audience watched. They saw the confrontation in the parking lot. They saw Terry's escalation. They saw the chase to Alabama and the final showdown in the woods. But more than anything, they saw the aftermath. Maya building her new life, the program helping other women, the ripple effect of one act of kindness on one rainy night. When the lights came up, the audience was silent. Then someone started clapping. Then someone else. Within seconds, the entire theater was on its feet, applauding, crying, cheering. Diesel sat frozen in his seat, overwhelmed. Dorothy put her hand on his shoulder. "You did this," she whispered. "All of this, because you said yes." After the screening, people lined up to talk to Diesel. Women who'd escaped abuse wanted to thank him. Men who'd been abusers wanted to apologize, to make amends, to ask how they could help. Parents whose daughters had been killed by domestic violence wanted to tell their stories. Diesel listened to all of them, shook every hand, gave every hug that was asked for. And by the end of the night, he understood something fundamental. His grandmother's death hadn't been meaningless. It had led him here to this moment, to this mission. She died so that Maya could live, so that all these other women could live. Her sacrifice had created a chain of salvation that would continue long after Diesel was gone. 3 weeks after the documentary premiered, Diesel got a letter from the governor's office. He'd been nominated for the state's Citizen Hero Award for his work with domestic violence victims. Diesel threw the letter away. He didn't do this for awards or recognition. He did it because it was right, because someone had to, because he could. But Hammer fished the letter out of the trash. "You're going to that ceremony," Hammer said. "And you're going to accept that award. Not for you. For every woman who's been too scared to ask for help. You show them that help exists, that they're not alone." Diesel went. He wore a suit that Dorothy made him buy, stood on stage while the governor talked about his heroism and sacrifice, accepted an award he didn't feel he deserved. In the audience sat 47 women he'd helped save over the past 2 years. Maya wasn't among them. She was in Alabama running her safe houses, living her life. But her presence was felt. When Diesel gave his acceptance speech, he kept it short. "I'm not a hero. I'm just someone who said yes when someone asked for help. The real heroes are the women who found the courage to ask, who decided that survival mattered more than fear, who chose life over death. Everything else is just details." He looked out at the audience, at all those faces marked by pain and resilience. If you're in danger, ask for help. If someone asks you for help, say yes. It's that simple and that complicated. We save each other or we don't survive. There's no third option. Diesel stepped down from the stage to thunderous applause, but he barely heard it, because standing in the back of the auditorium near the exit was Maya. She'd come, despite the risk of being seen, despite the careful anonymity she'd built. She'd come. After the ceremony, Diesel found her in the parking lot. "You came," he said. "I had to. Needed to see you accept what you've earned. Needed to tell you something in person." "Tell me what—" Maya took a breath. "I'm getting married." Diesel felt his heart stop, then restart. "Married. His name is David. He's a teacher. We met 6 months ago at a volunteer training session. He's kind, Diesel. Really kind. He's never raised his voice at me. Never made me feel afraid. Never made me feel like I was less than human." Diesel didn't know what to say. Are you happy?" Maya smiled. "I am. For the first time in my life, I'm actually happy. Not just surviving, not just getting through each day. Happy." She stepped forward and took his hands. "And I have you to thank for it, all of it. If you hadn't been at that diner, if you hadn't given me that card, if you hadn't believed me when I said I was in danger, none of this would exist. I wouldn't exist. You would have found a way." "No, I wouldn't have. I was ready to die that night, Diesel. You gave me permission to live." She reached into her purse and pulled out an envelope. "This is for you. A wedding invitation. I want you there. I want you to see what your kindness created." Diesel took the envelope. "I'll be there. Promise. Promise." Maya kissed his cheek. Then she walked to her car, got in, and drove away. Diesel stood alone in the parking lot, holding the invitation. And for the first time in years, he let himself cry. Not from sadness, from joy. Maya was getting married. She was happy. She was free. That was everything he'd fought for, everything he'd ever wanted. Maya's wedding was held on a beautiful Saturday in April. Small ceremony. Just close friends and family, the people who'd helped her survive and rebuild. Dorothy was there. Detective Brooks, Earl, Maria from the Alabama safe house, a dozen survivors Maya had helped over the years, and Diesel. He sat in the back watching Maya walk down the aisle in a white dress that made her look like an angel. She was glowing, not with fear, not with survival mode alertness, with genuine unbridled joy. When she reached David at the altar, she turned and looked at Diesel and smiled, a smile that said, "Thank you for everything, for believing in me when I couldn't believe in myself." Diesel smiled back. After the ceremony, Maya found him at the reception. "You came. Said I would. How do I look?" "Happy. You look happy." Maya laughed. "I am happy. Still feels strange to say it, but I am." "Good. That's all that matters." David came over and shook Diesel's hand. "You must be James," David said. "Maya's told me everything. I don't know how to thank you for what you did for her. Just keep her happy. That's all the thanks I need. I will, I promise. They meant it. Diesel could tell. David loved Maya, really loved her, and he would spend the rest of his life proving it. That was enough. That was more than enough. 5 years after the night at Earl's Diner, the Hells Angels Domestic Violence Prevention Network had chapters in 32 states. They'd helped over 800 women escape abuse. 3 had been killed by their abusers before they could be saved. Diesel still carried their names in his wallet. But hundreds more were alive, thriving, building lives they'd never thought possible. Maya ran 4 safe houses now in Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, and Mississippi. She'd hired a staff of 20, trained over 100 volunteers, testified before Congress twice. She and David had a daughter. They named her Grace. "Because that's what you gave me," Maya told Diesel when she called to share the news. "Grace, a second chance I didn't deserve." "You deserved everything, Maya. Don't ever forget that." Dorothy retired from running St. Agnes Shelter, but stayed active as an advisor to the network. She and Diesel still had coffee every Tuesday morning. "You ever think about slowing down?" she asked him one day. "No. There's too much work to do." "There'll always be too much work, James. That's the nature of this fight. But you're not 25 anymore. You need to take care of yourself too." "I'll rest when I'm dead." Dorothy laughed. "Your grandmother used to say the same thing." Diesel looked at her sharply. "How do you know that?" "Because I met her once. Years ago, before you were born. She came to a shelter I was running in Mississippi. Didn't stay long, just a few days, but I never forgot her. Strongest woman I ever met." Diesel's throat tightened. "You never told me. Never seemed like the right time. But I want you to know she'd be proud of you, James. So proud. Everything you've built, everyone you've helped. She's watching, and she's smiling." Diesel didn't trust himself to speak. He just nodded and finished his coffee. Terry Johnson was serving 23 years in federal prison. He'd written Diesel several letters over the years, some apologetic, some angry, some rambling and incoherent. Diesel never responded. Some people didn't deserve redemption. They just deserved consequences. But one letter received on the 5th anniversary of the night at Earl's caught Diesel's attention. "I know you'll never forgive me. I don't deserve forgiveness. But I want you to know that I understand now what I did to Maya, what I was, the monster I became. In here I've had time to think, time to see myself clearly, and I hate what I see. I don't expect sympathy. I don't expect understanding. I just want someone to know that I'm sorry. That if I could go back and change things, I would. That I wish I'd been the man Maya deserved instead of the man I was. You saved her from me. And in a way, you saved me too. Because if I'd killed her that night, if I'd done what I was planning to do, I would have killed myself right after. Now, I have to live with what I did. That's my punishment. And it's worse than any prison sentence. Terry." Diesel read the letter 3 times. Then he put it in a drawer and never looked at it again. Terry's guilt was his own burden to carry. Diesel had his own. On the 6th anniversary of the night he met Maya, Diesel rode his Harley to Earl's Soul Kitchen. It was raining, just like that first night. He parked in the same spot, walked to the same corner booth, ordered the same terrible coffee. Earl came over with the pot. "6 years, Earl said. "Hard to believe. Feels like yesterday. And also like a lifetime ago." "That too." Earl refilled the coffee. "You ever think about what would have happened if you hadn't been here that night?" Diesel looked out the window at the rain. "All the time. Maya would be dead. Yeah. And probably a dozen other women too. All the ones you've helped since then. Maybe. Not maybe, definitely. You changed things, Diesel. You changed the whole damn world, one woman at a time." Diesel's phone buzzed. Text from Dorothy. "New case. 16-year-old girl in Mississippi. Abusive stepfather. School counselor reached out. Can we help?" Diesel smiled. He typed back, "Already on it. Send me the details." Because that was what Diesel did now. That was who he was. Not a warrior fighting foreign enemies. Not a medic trying to save soldiers in a war zone. Not a broken man drowning in guilt. He was someone who said yes when others said no. Someone who stood in the gap between victims and their abusers. Someone who turned pain into purpose. He was Diesel Crawford, Hell's Angel, Army Ranger, medic, and the man who proved that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is simply care. Diesel finished his coffee and left cash on the table. As he walked to the door, Earl called out, "Same time next year." Diesel turned and smiled. "Same time next year." He walked out into the rain, his Harley-weighted engine rumbling, ready to ride. Somewhere out there, a 16-year-old girl needed help, needed someone to believe her, needed someone to show up and say yes. Diesel would be that someone, today, tomorrow, every day he had left. Because once you save someone's life, you understand something fundamental. Every person matters. Every life has value. And sometimes the difference between death and survival is simply someone caring enough to try. Diesel started his engine. The roar cut through the rain and darkness. Behind him, Earl's Soul Kitchen glowed warm in the night, a beacon for anyone seeking shelter from the storm. Maya had been right all those years ago. Some angels wear black leather and ride Harleys. Some angels have scars and troubled pasts. Some angels are broken people who turn their pain into purpose. But they're angels nonetheless. Real, imperfect, human. They prove every single day that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's choosing to act despite it. Diesel pulled out of the parking lot and headed toward Mississippi, toward a scared teenager who needed to know she wasn't alone. The rain kept falling. The road stretched ahead dark and uncertain. But Diesel wasn't afraid. He knew where he was going. He knew who he was. And he knew finally, after all these years, that his life meant something. Not because of the awards or the recognition or the documentary. Because of the lives he'd touched, the women he'd saved, the hope he'd given to people who had none left. That was his legacy. That was his purpose. And that was enough. It was more than enough. It was everything. Maya Johnson had asked for help on a rainy Thursday night in Memphis. A stranger in a corner booth had said yes. And because of that single word, that simple act of courage, hundreds of women were alive today. Living, thriving, free. That's the power of showing up. That's the power of believing someone when they say they're in danger. That's the power of one person deciding that another person's life is worth fighting for. We save each other. Or we don't survive. There's no third option. And Diesel Crawford, the Hell's Angel who became a guardian angel, had proven that truth more times than he could count. He would keep proving it. Every day, every rescue, every yes, until the day he couldn't ride anymore. And even then, the network he'd built would continue. The women he'd trained would carry on his mission. The legacy he'd created would outlast him by generations. That was the real victory. Not defeating Terry Johnson. Not surviving the fights and the bullets and the danger, but building something that would help people long after he was gone. Something that proved once and for all that hope is stronger than fear, that love is stronger than hate, and that one person, just one ordinary person who refuses to look away, can change the world. Diesel disappeared into the rain-soaked night, heading toward another rescue, another life, to save another, yes, to give. And somewhere in Alabama, Maya Crawford, she'd taken Diesel's grandmother's name when she married David, put her daughter to bed, and whispered the same prayer she whispered every night. "Thank you for sending him to me. Thank you for giving me a second chance. And please, please help him save the next one, and the one after that, and the one after that, until there's no one left to save." Grace looked up at her mother with curious eyes. "Who are you talking to, Mama?" Maya smiled. "An angel baby, a real one. Now go to sleep." She kissed her daughter's forehead and turned off the light. Outside, the rain had stopped. The stars were coming out. And somewhere on a highway in Mississippi, a Harley's engine roared through the darkness, carrying its rider toward another soul who needed saving. The story never really ends. It just keeps going, one rescue at a time, one yes at a time, one life at a time. until the whole world understands what Maya learned on a rainy night in Memphis. You are not alone. Help exists. You are worth saving. And angels are everywhere if you know where to look.